Shia Lebouf is sentenced to dig holes in the desert and must overcome his family's curse.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with
Michelle,
Andre, Luis,
and me, Emily. We're a family-friendly podcast where we pick a new Disney movie each week. We watch it, share our thoughts, and then relate it to pop culture, fandoms, and anything else that pops into our heads. Enjoy!
Hello and welcome to the Walt Vault.
hello.
Episode 92. We're at home and everyone's at home. You guys are at home. So this is a quarantined episode. Now, if you're an audio listener, you just heard a burp. That was Michelle.
So nah, you straight up put the mic in your phone knowing well we would not hear you. You kept it away.
You had to hear the burp. Okay, we're keeping it real here. This is how we are.
If you're an audio listener, let it be known that we are video recording this episode on Skype, and it is available on our YouTube channel. So if you want to stop listening to just the audio and see us in all of our quarantine glory,
you can just listen to the audio.
Or you can just keep listening to the audio, whichever is.
It's just like a bonus feature for people to see us in our natural habitat.
Exactly.
Couch chilling.
So we're here for you in these quarantine times with a little bit of extra content here on the Walt Vault. So this week we are talking about the 2003 live-action Disney film Holes,
which Luis was excited about for once.
Yep.
Yep.
I was pretty excited about it too.
Digging up holes,
Digging up
Holes was directed by Andrew Davis and written by the writer of the novel, Louis Sekar, and stars Shia Lebouf, Sigourney Weaver,
Wait a minute.
Other folks.
Sekar? You mean the leader of the bandits from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Sure.
Yeah?
Isn't that his name, Sekar?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yondu's homie who got pissed at him?
I don't remember what that dude's name, but maybe it was Sekar.
All right.
I don't know. Hey, but I'll have you know that people, because they're quarantined, are watching all the Marvel movies, and I'm like, we already did that. Nope.
I mean, yeah.
I ain't doing it again.
I would do it again.
I actually thought about
Dude, we just watched X-Men First Class because you guys are binging X-Men. So
yeah, I'm not binging Marvel. I'm binging. Well, I guess that is Marvel.
Yeah, and why are you putting judgment on the people who are watching Marvel movies?
I'm not judging them. I'm just saying we already did that. Anyways, okay, so Holes. First impression.
Stakar. FYI, I had to look it up.
Stakar?
About Stakar Ogard.
Oh.
That's the guy who was played by Sylvester Stallone.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's who Luis is talking about. I'm so sorry I had to interrupt, but he interrupted first, so I had to qualify that interruption.
All right, well, let's go with our first impressions, which should be interesting because Luis, myself, and Andre have seen this movie, and Emily hath not until.
I've never seen it. What are you talking about?
You saw it.
I never
You
saw
definitely said you had seen it.
I did not see it. That's why I was excited to see it.
He said he had seen it.
Never.
We absolutely thought you had seen this, Luis.
Didn't somebody read the book?
I read the book.
I read the book as well.
Negatory.
I thought I read the book until I watched it and was like, I didn't read this book.
Okay, well
Maybe
then.
I was supposed to have read it and I didn't actually read it.
Yeah, you read Graveyard or something like that.
Let's start with you guys then, with a fresh set of eyes. Luis, first impression.
I liked it. It was pretty cool. But I remember when the movie first came out, I wasn't a big fan of it because I was young and I thought Shia Lebouf was an idiot because of his role in Even Stevens.
Uh-huh.
It's like the first thing he did after that, I think.
Yeah, and then kind of you know me, when somebody gets tarnished in my image, it kind of takes a lot. It takes a couple Transformer movies and making out with Megan Fox to
gain your respect.
Aye.
Oh, and coming out in the Sia music video, that did it. He earned some points for me on that.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That was cool.
That was actually dope.
That was true.
All right, Emily, first impressions.
It was a movie on film.
Yes.
Oh, she didn't like it.
True.
It was live action. Facts.
Indeed.
It was a movie. I am not a huge Shia Lebouf fan, so this was a little, especially young Shia. Ooh, okay. But I will say that I did not. I remembered the premise, or somehow maybe just from like trailers or something, knew the premise of the movie, but I had no idea where it was going, which is a cool thing, that it wasn't super predictable.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a fantasy story. I mean,
yeah.
So you really don't know where it's going till it goes there.
It's got a complex structure.
Yeah. Andre, first impression.
So I won't take away the fact that the story is better than I was expecting it to be.
Okay, there we go.
But let's be real, children actor movies are not always the best.
Correct.
No.
Children.
I mean, Disney 2000s movies weren't the best, but okay, fine. I'll go into my first impression next. Yes. I really, really liked this movie. I like how I'm like holding this Cheeto in my hand, like not eating it yet because I'm talking. I really, really liked this movie as a kid. I used to watch it a lot. It came out when I'm assuming I was in middle school, maybe late elementary, middle school.
You were 10 years old when this movie came out.
Okay, so I was in elementary school.
Definitely not in middle school.
Definitely not. But I think I watched it a lot in middle school.
Sure.
You're digging up those holes, you know what I mean?
But I really liked this movie. I thought it had a good storyline as a kid and all of that. And it's basically, I remembered it basically how it was. Like, I didn't really forget anything besides the only thing that didn't hit well as an adult is how rude all of the counselors were to the children. And we'll get into that. That hit me real hard this time. But it's basically still a good movie, and it's how I remembered it. But I'm not going to, like, go back to it quite frequently, like, as an adult. But as a kid, I really liked it. Andre.
Yeah, agreed. I like this movie a lot. I think I liked it more when I was younger, though. When I was younger, I had read the book, but seeing it as a movie, like every reveal that happens towards the end of the movie is just like mind-blowing after mind-blowing thing after mind-blowing thing. It's like, what? This is all crazy. And it's slightly less powerful now as an adult, but watching it was still a fun time. There's some good lines and some funny stuff.
Question. Was this a in the theater movie? Was it an original movie?
Yes.
Yeah, it was in the theater.
It did come out in theaters.
Okay.
Back in the day. 2003.
I agree with you, though. I think as a kid, I thought the storyline was, like, crazy. I was like, this is wild. And as an adult, I'm like, who came up with this? Like,
it's different.
Louis Sakar, the writer of the film. Sakar.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone. He did it.
All right, then.
Dig those holes. You gotta dig them.
Well, let's get into it.
Sounds good.
Yes, this movie has a pretty involved plot with a lot of characters.
A lot. And a lot of multiple characters and 2 storylines.
Yes. So we start at the digging camp.
Actually, 3 storylines.
There's a fair amount of storylines going on. We start at the camp. We see some boys digging some holes.
Digging up those holes.
As they are wont to do. And one of them takes off his shoe to point his toe towards a rattlesnake to let it bite him. And presumably he dies. Is that what happens?
They said he ain't coming back.
Yeah,
right.
he will not be joining us. He's in the hospital.
His name was Barfbag. That's right. Yeah, so he purposely got bitten by a snake while out digging these holes, letting us, the audience, know that digging holes is not that fun.
And also, I'm pretty sure that you can't just make children, even if they're in juvie, dig holes. Sounds really illegal. You don't think it's illegal?
I don't know.
Girl, this is like another step away from juvie. This isn't juvie. This is like Uber V.
Yeah, but all he did was steal something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll get into the specifics of the sentencing a little bit later. So it cuts from Barfbag, old Barfbag getting bit by a snake, and we start seeing Shia Lebouf. He's hanging out. Stanley Yelnats. He's walking around. He's got a hat on, and suddenly out of the sky, a pair of shoes smacks him in the head, and
cops his ass.
He sees them, and then the cops find him, arrest him, and take him to court because he happens to have a pair of shoes when they walk by.
That pair of shoes is a famous baseball player's shoes. Luis, you said that the actor's actually a basketball player?
Yeah. One of my favorite basketball players, Rick Fox.
Rick Fox from the Lakers, right?
Yeah, the guy used to bury threes like no one's business.
Looking like a fox, too, you know.
Kind of does look a bit like the Carfax Fox.
No. Like, he's foxy.
Nah, he does look like the Carfax Fox for sure.
Yeah, he's got a fox look about him. But yes,
we're not on the same page about what kind of fox we're talking about.
I mean, I guess he looked good,
Carfax
sure.
Fox.
So Stanley is arrested for stealing shoes that were thrown at him from a bridge. They come from on high.
And it's all because his family's cursed.
Yes, it turns out there's a Yelnats curse that.
Because of his no good great grandfather.
Yes, his name is Stanley Yelnats. His father's name is Stanley Yelnats. His grandfather's name is Stanley Yelnats. And the Stanleys. And there's a great grandfather who's also Stanley.
No, his
Yelnats.
name's like Aya.
And then was that the fifth grandpa? Was he a grandpa removed?
He's the fourth.
Right. Stanley, his dad, his grandpa, and his great grandpa, and then the father before that is Elia.
Yeah, Elia
or whatever. And these are the boys, and they right now Stanley, his dad, and his grandpa all live in the same house with their mom, Stanley's mom, and they're trying to develop a cure for stinky feet. So they got a whole bunch of scents and smells and nasty shoes laying around their tiny apartment.
It's like literally disgusting.
It's really gross. Like disgustingly gross.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what else happens. Oh, okay. So Stanley gets to go to court. He is immediately sentenced to 18 months.
You didn't even get a trial, man. Like
stealing a pair of shoes. 18 months.
He gets 18 months because they found him with shoes, which is nuts. It's a pair of cleats. It's not even. Anyway, he's sentenced to 18 months, and they decide to send him to this prison camp because a spot has just opened because
they gave him the choice, right? You can go to juvie or you can go to this prison camp.
Yeah, I guess
so. And I guess he was like, cool, I'll go to this camp.
Yeah, although after
it's
being
called
there,
Camp Green Lake.
Camp Green Lake, that's right.
It sounds more.
That's true.
It
sounds better than juvie, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not juvie. It's a detention area for troubled youths or whatever, where they go to work off their
debt to society.
Exactly.
The other youths there are a lot more troubled than he is. That's for sure. But we'll get into that. So he gets stuck here, and it's just interesting because all of the shots of Camp Green Lake are just all the holes in the ground, right? Like hundreds or probably thousands of holes being dug there in the ground. And I mean, Emily, were you like, why are they digging holes at first?
Well, I like I said, I think I remember from the trailer that they were on the search for something. Like that was definitely a part of it. It wasn't that because that's one of the first things they say is that digging holes is rehabilitative, right? Like that's what they're trying to make.
Build character, okay.
But it's very obvious that they're searching for something because, I mean, there is no reason to just be ruining the desert. I mean.
Yes, ruining the desert.
Ruining the desert. The desert was so nice and pristine before this.
Very pristine.
You know what? I have
no
words to say to you guys. You know, it's very sad that we're being recorded because I would be making, faces at you that I can't make.
It's like, move over, save our rainforest, save our deserts.
Save the desert. Luis is happy he doesn't have to speak into a microphone right now.
No, but he's upset that you guys can see him with his phone down by his knee because he's playing Pokemon. What else is new?
We couldn't see his knee. But
you can see him not looking at the screen.
It's right here. There's no phone.
Needs on new.
Hello. Your argument is invalid.
So.
Get off of my popcorn. Sorry.
So.
This is how it goes, guys.
As Stanley gets to the prison camp, he starts getting introduced to everybody. And they start telling him the rules. So the basic rule is you go to the camp, you dig one hole per day.
Yeah.
So he's going to be there for 18 months. Did we figure out the math on this?
It's basically 5 feet by 5 feet.
It depends if it's leap year. It depends on how many months.
Yeah, if it's a leap year, it's going to be...
Or when he started.
Well, it's half of 365.
We're going to do the math now.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Roughly 750
Holes.
holes
Yes.
per kid.
It's a lot of holes per kid. And each hole is to be 5 feet in diameter and 5 feet deep. Basically the same length as the shovels that they carry. It's really hot. It hasn't rained there in years and years and years. And they get their water canteens filled up like once a day or something like that.
There's also poisonous lizards.
Right. There's yellow spotted lizards.
Which apparently are not real.
They're not real?
No, I looked it up.
Well, that type of lizard is real.
No, but the yellow spotted lizard.
No, that's not. But like pretty much the shape and the anatomy of that one, except the spots, is a real lizard. I think it's called like a hornbill toad or something like that.
So yes,
Okay.
that is true. On the set when they were making this part, they put that lizard down, and then they would like use it with non-toxic children's paint to make it look like more vibrant and have yellow spots, and then they CGI'd pieces of its head to make it look more
scary.
It looks like those lizards that they run in the desert, and then they get like their.
They're like,
You know what I'm talking about? Like on the Animal Planet.
You're talking about the dragon, the Komodo dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Those things are freaky. My daddy actually used to catch those lizards.
Your daddy?
Yeah, my dad.
My daddy.
Daddy?
My
Yeah,
dad,
I do.
yeah. My dad used to catch those lizards in Mexico, the real ones.
Oh. Did he shoot at them with a gun?
No, but again, I'm not sure if they're really poisonous or not.
They're not.
He called them camaleones. No. I don't know what he called them.
Anywho, we
Anywho.
digressed on lizards,
Basically,
which I also don't like.
huh?
I don't like lizards.
Oh, yeah. Emily doesn't like a lot of animal creature things. Rats, lizards, rats.
People with a virus. Anyway, so we meet Mr. Sir, played by John
Oh, yeah,
I
Voight.
love
Mr.
that name,
Sir.
Mr. Sir.
Yeah, he said you can call me Mr. Sir or else. Basically, he's the tough guy on he's the muscle of the prison camp or whatever. He holds a gun. He carries a gun with him at all times, and he says that it's to shoot lizards. And also, if boys are acting up, whatever, he'll pop off on them too.
Seems fair.
Yeah, seems fair, Mr. Sir. He's got sideburns and a cowboy hat. We also meet Mom, who is...
Oh, God. Literally my least favorite character.
His name is Dr. Pendansky, but all the kids call him Mom because he's the counselor for the camp.
He is not a counselor.
Counselor.
At
yeah.
first, you think he's going to be. Like, he has, like, a very nurturing approach, which I
Yes.
can see why they call him Mom, like, right when they get there. But I think it's, like, to get him to feel comfortable to do the work and then slap him in the line.
Exactly, because you see later that he is not
as it goes
nice.
on. Yeah, as it goes on, he's like literally the worst. He's so mean to them. Like I think as soon as he starts talking about Zero, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he got issues with Zero. So yeah, we start meeting some of the other kids. There's Zero, as we just said. He's a littler kid who doesn't speak at first. There's Squid, who's like a lanky dude. There's Armpit, who smells really bad. There's X-Ray, who wears glasses and he's mean. He's like the leader. And then there's a couple other kids: Magnet, Zigzag, Twitch. There's a whole bunch of silly named children.
So here's my question. So those are all the kids in D tent, right?
Yeah.
D. And so I'm assuming there's at least A through D, if not more tents,
All right.
because it's a full camp. So, like, how many kids do they have here? Do you guys know if that's, I mean, I know that that's more like a book thing.
Yeah,
than
that's
I
probably
don't
something
know.
from the book. But just to extrapolate and imagine, there was there's
a couple hundred maybe?
5 to 10 kids in tent D. Yeah, there's probably like 100 to 200 kids at this camp at any one time. And I'm sure the leaders of the camp, the warden, would like to have as many kids digging holes as humanly possible, you know?
Which, and if you think about
Morning
it,
week.
that kind of moved on into the, like, conditions of the camp. So they're literally, which the sleeping conditions kind of aren't that bad. It's kind of military style where they're in, like, a tent, and they have a cot, and they have, like, a pillow and a blanket or whatever. But then, like, the shower is literally, like, a spigot coming out of the ground.
Right.
And their mess hall, their
Yeah.
cafeteria, like, very sludgy, very
It
disgusting.
served a lot of slop.
Yeah. I would
It's
assume
very
like
gross.
food and water is scarce because they're like literally in the middle of the desert.
Did they show us any they didn't show us what their bathroom sitch looked like though, did they?
No,
I didn't
but
see it.
It was
armpits
just
and
like
a lot of
go in a
showers.
hole when you're out on the
Right.
day work site.
Yeah.
They're short showers, that's for sure.
Did they say, like, was there a line at any point, like, what if I have to pee while we're out digging holes? And they say just
They
go
said
in the
pee
hole.
in a hole.
Yeah, go in the hole.
Yeah, just go in a hole.
Tons of
Well,
holes,
the
just
same
full
when
of
you're actually
just
digging
full of
is
poop
what
and
they
pee
said.
out there. Thousands and thousands of
That's
poop
what
and
the
pee-filled
lizards
holes.
eat, didn't you know?
Ugh. Nasty. Anyway, continuing on. So,
So
Mr.
atrocious.
Yeah, it's nasty. It's not a super fun place to be, but I mean, if
Could be
I
worse.
would have rather been in juvie. Just throwing that out there.
Absolutely. Send me to juvie. I don't want to go dig holes. So yeah, Zero's a mute. Dr. Podansky is very mean to Zero. He keeps calling him stupid and stuff like that, which is like odd just for a person who says that they can't speak. You know, he lays in on him really thickly, which you don't like him in those moments.
So while this is all happening, the movie is jumping between this current timeline and two different timelines. So there's 3 timelines total. We have what's currently going on, and then we have a timeline where we learn about why his family is cursed. And this is with Elia Yelnats.
Elia Yelnats, the great-great-grandfather.
He's the great-great-grandfather. Yeah. Great-great-great. Yeah, great-great-great-grandfather. So he basically works in a farm?
Yeah,
it's back in the old country.
It's olden days. So
back in the old country, he wants to marry the fine honey down the street.
Right.
And fine honey has a dad who's like, well, this other dude also wants to marry her. So I need to get the biggest pig from one of you. So you guys both need to fatten up a pig and we'll see whoever gets the girl. Right? So he's like, but I love you. And he's like, no, we need a pig. So
don't care.
He goes to the gypsy lady.
Madame Zeroni.
Madame Zeroni.
Madame Zeroni. And Madame Zeroni says, oh, well, we gonna fatten you up a pig. But once you get the girl, you gotta come back and you have to take me physically up a mountain, right?
To drink from this magical river that makes you strong and big.
Right. Have me drink from the river, say the magic words, the spell.
Which is like a song.
The song. And then everything will be fine. And if you forget to bring Madame Zeroni up the mountain, then
your family will be cursed for all eternity.
That was pretty good.
Yeah,
that was really good.
Sorry, guys. We had a dog join me right here.
Hi, Dougie. Dougie's on the podcast.
That was fantastic, Michelle.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I want to say that she reminded me of Yzma.
Yes.
From Emperor's New Groove.
It might even be the exact same voice.
The same actress. I mean, the same.
Sounds like her voice.
It
kind of does
voice.
sound
Not
like
so
it,
much that she looks like that, but.
Well,
I
think she does a little bit. Hang on.
Hey, I was trying to be nice.
Madame Zeroni, Eartha Kitt.
It's played by Eartha Kitt.
I think it is. It is.
Oh, win, Emily. That was
nice.
Wow, I can't believe we didn't bring that up when we were watching it. Oh yeah, we watched this movie together a few days ago.
We did.
A week ago. When there was the quarantine. Yeah, a week ago.
We were allowed to leave our houses at the time.
We did have a social distance. We were on one couch. Andre and Michelle were in this corner of my couch. Maybe I should.
That's true. That's true.
You don't know. You don't know what kind of stuff we left there. Gross.
Disgusting.
Anywho. Moving on. So that's one of the timelines. So we jump back and forth between those.
So basically,
Remind me. Pause. This is an issue. One of my major issues with the movie. This piece, okay? We'll talk about it. But when we get to the end of the movie, bring this back up.
So basically what happens, though, is that he realizes the daughter is kind of stupid because she really doesn't know which one to pick. And the other eligible bachelor is not a good-looking dude like he is,
he's
right?
Gross.
He's gross. So he's like, you know what? Whatever. I'm not doing this. Take the pig. and he leaves and goes to America, but he forgets to take Madame Zeroni up the mountain, Dougie. So then they're cursed. Okay, so their family is cursed.
For
That's
generations.
the end, and that's the end of that timeline story. That's what we get.
Yes.
Then there's another story going on because there's been lots of talks about Kissing Kate Barlow and how Kissing Kate Barlow stole not the grandfather but the great-grandfather's family fortune. Yeah.
Stanley Yelnats
and that's
the first.
why their family has no money, because Kissing Kate Barlow stole Stanley Yelnats the first fortune.
Correct.
And
Do we know who Kissing Kate Barlow is yet, though? No. Right?
No, but Kate Barlow has, just like when she shows up on the screen and she like vandalizes the like buggy that he's going across the Old West in, it very much has like a Lewis and Clark type feel to it. So you get the idea. Lewis and Clark? No, not Lewis and Clark. Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde. Lewis and Clark just going rampaging, stealing stuff.
Okay, anywho. Bonnie and Clyde, it has a Bonnie and Clyde feel to it. You feel like she is a bandit, that she's like a total, I'm trying to think of a nice way to say it. She's a rad chick, right?
Sure.
Super cool. And
Super
she's
rad.
out there doing her. So she like, she has like a whole gang behind her, and she rampages and ransacks his entire thing, takes all of his money, and then poor Stanley the First is roaming around in the desert by his lonesome.
Penniless. Yes.
Yes, and the only way that he survived that is because he walked to the top of this mountain.
To God's thumb.
To God's thumb, and there was some stuff up there that he was able to gobble on.
Right. So he was able to survive. But
How did he get down from the mountain and go find the girl and stuff? We don't know.
Someone found him, I think.
Someone found him.
There's something like, when they found him.
yeah. On
Yeah,
God's
who
thumb.
the heck found him up there?
Someone in a helicopter, obviously.
Somebody else is roaming
I
around
don't
out
know.
there.
Anyways,
FYI, it was the Old West. There was no helicopter.
so as this is happening, Stanley Yelnats is digging holes, and he finds something. He finds, well, I think originally he thinks it's a bullet.
It looks like a bullet.
It looks like a bullet.
It has a bullet and it has a heart with KB written on it.
Mhm.
And so they've been instructed that if they find anything interesting while digging, that if they show it to the warden and she likes it, then they'll get the day off. So Stanley finds this thing. He shows the other kids, and the other kids, including X-Ray, is like, hey, dude, you just got here. You can't be finding stuff. I've been here for a long time digging in all these holes. If you ever find anything, you should give it to me, and then I'll turn it in so that I can get the day off. And that's just what seems fair to me, X-Ray, and me alone. It's really completely unfair rule. But
it's
Stanley,
definitely unfair, but he complies.
Stanley decides to follow.
As
Well,
that
and this
happens,
is where you kind of first get like a good look at Stanley's character, which makes me like him more, even though it's Shia Lebouf being kind of like a bad kid, right? But like a bad actor as a kid. But like he's a good person, and he's going to do what he has to do to survive. So he's like, okay, I'll give it over to you. So you see that he's not a liar. He's just very.
He's a pushover.
Yeah.
Well, that too.
yeah.
But he's a good kid.
But he's honest.
He's honest in lying about who got it.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it's fine because Zigzag turns it in, and Zigzag gets the day off. And then the only problem is, though, that Zigzag said that he found it in this specific hole, but that's not the hole it was actually found in. So then we're introduced to the warden, who wants them all to dig like crazy, and they're digging for nothing because it's nowhere near where that lipstick was.
The warden, played by
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver. She makes her entrance into the movie, and she's a force to be reckoned with. She's a scary lady. When Stanley first gets called into her office, is that how we meet her at first?
She comes out on the prairie.
No, she comes out.
Right. Because she wants to see.
She's like, come on, guys, you're the best boys ever. Wow, you guys finding things. And they kind of like eat it up, right?
Yeah.
Because she's like the only female there.
I mean, yeah, basically, she's the only woman, but she's driving them hard because she's like, okay, so we're gonna search this entire area until we find whatever it is that I'm looking for, because she's the one.
And I'll give you extra rations and extra time and everything if you find stuff. And then we very quickly realize, well, we know as the audience that that's not where it was, but there is nothing else there for them to find, and she gets mad.
She's very upset. And so they dig like this for a few weeks.
For a long
time,
like. And then as this is happening, Zero and what do they call him now? Caveman?
Caveman.
Okay, Zero and Caveman are becoming good friends. Zero actually talks to him. We find out that he's homeless. He doesn't know how to read. It's actually like really, really sad. Like really sad.
Right, which makes it worse when Dr. Potansky is yelling at him mean
like
things.
He's stupid.
He's so stupid.
Well, and the interesting thing here is that Zero is a very hard worker, and so he can get his hole done first every day because he's so good at digging.
Super
and
fast.
So Caveman or Shia or whatever his name is, Stanley, he is super slow because he's a normal kid not used to manual labor. And so that's kind of how that whole friendship evolves, right? Because he wants to help him so that he can learn to read.
Exactly. Also, in the book, just to throw in a book difference, Stanley is pretty obese when he arrives at the prison camp. And so over the course of these 18 months, he gets skinnier and skinnier and skinnier as he's only eating slop and digging holes all day. So that's a detail that they left out of the movie because they didn't want to like fat suit him up or whatever. But I think that's another reason why Zero was way faster than Stanley at the beginning.
Okay.
Because he's supposed to be bigger.
Interesting. That makes sense. And I really like
Zero.
Zero.
Heavyweights next.
Oh
my gosh. No, we already know
okay,
what we're doing. We'll tell the listeners.
I'm just saying I've never seen it, but you guys made me want to watch it.
Yeah.
I've never seen it. Well, I have, but it was a long time ago.
It's good.
Okay, so once again, while this is all happening, there's another timeline going on.
Flashback.
And this is the timeline that I like. Would you say that this was your guys' favorite part of the movie? Is my favorite part of the movie.
Well, this is the same timeline. It's just a different part in the timeline, but yes.
Well, it's farther on in the timeline.
It's further back than...
It's a separate story.
It's further back than Kissing Kate, and it's after Ilya Yelnats or whatever.
Yes, this is my favorite part.
It is your favorite part?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I like it.
Because I like love stories, interracial love stories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're introduced to this guy. What's his name?
Sexy.
What is his name?
You're not wrong.
Sam.
Sam.
You're not wrong.
Yes. And Sam, they live in this village. They live in this town, and
a town near a lake.
Basically there's this white rich dude who owns the town, right? And he's a jerk. But Sam he has an onion farm. He grows onions and he sells onions, the sweetest onions in all the world, with his donkey. And then there's a school teacher named Kate, which I had already put together. It was Kissing Kate, Emily.
Her name was Miss Catherine. That's what Sam called
What?
her.
Did I just spoilers? You're laughing? It's a movie. They already know.
You're laughing at Dougie, dude. Look at Dougie.
Oh, you're laughing because of his head through the window?
I hope you can see him in the shot, but Dougie's
I don't think you're going to be able to see him in the shot. This
is what we put up with all day. He's a guard dog, guys. He's our little
patrol.
guard dog. He's on patrol right here. He comes to say hi. Hey, get off.
That was really funny.
Okay. Anyways, so basically.
No, I didn't put it together because at that point, no.
You didn't.
Right.
Okay. So, Catherine is a school teacher, and her and Sam kind of have this thing, like she gives him peaches, he gives her onions, and then
it's a flirty little transaction.
It's like a little flirty thing going on, and she has him help with the schoolhouse. Can you fix the roof? I can fix that. Can you fix this? I can fix that.
I can fix
that.
So
while the coronavirus.
Not with the coronavirus, you can't fix that.
So while he's fixing things, there's a dude who like owns the town. I don't know if he's the mayor or like the the mayor of the son or son of the mayor or something like that. But he's high level. He's a high status dude.
He's the jerk white dude that owns the town.
Yes.
That guy's so disgusting.
Ridiculous.
He reminds me of Phil from the Hangover.
Oh yeah. So he has also been trying to court Miss Catherine, the school teacher.
Gross.
But he's just hitting on her and being a gross dude with a gold tooth. And he's like, hey baby, why don't you come teach me something or whatever? Did Sam get one of the hero or whatever he's saying? She
shuts him down.
She's
too.
rejecting him over and over and over again. He keeps hitting on her. She keeps rejecting him. And she and Sam grow closer and closer and closer. And these flashbacks, they happen, I don't know, every couple of minutes in the movie, every other scene or so. And at one point, Sam and Miss Catherine get real close, okay? He's fixing the roof, it's raining, he comes
like
inside.
Crying about something.
She's crying because old
Some
Gold...
poetry she read or something, I don't know.
Old Goldtooth came in and started hitting on her or something. And
they were reading Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh.
And he finished the
line.
He finished the poem. Smart guy, Sam. So they make out. It's pretty hot. And
hey, you know what? Me in middle school, I was like, dang, this is a love story.
And so us as the audience, we're excited. We're like, yeah, Sam, yeah, Catherine, go get it. And
go get it.
But then
thinking in my head, like, this is not going to end well because it's not a time period where this would end well.
Right.
Well, and you said it in that moment too, Emily. Was like, this isn't going to end how I want it to end. I was like,
not good.
Yeah, because lo and behold, I think his name's Menke, right?
Is that his name? I don't remember. I can't.
Know. You would just call him Dum Dum.
Well,
yeah, Menke, you're right.
Mr. Menke saw them. So what does he do the next day? He burns down the schoolhouse with a bunch of his hooligans. They try to trap.
Come on.
I know, literally the worst. And of course, he's just out on the river whistling, and then they shoot.
Oh, right, yeah. So the plan by Menke and his gang is to burn down the schoolhouse.
Ruin the plot. You just go
and that's what the sheriff, Sheriff Health, they're burning down the schoolhouse, and he was super drunk trying to hit on her, and he was like, I always drink before hanging or something.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
So the plan basically is to lynch Sam.
Yeah, this is not where it became a children's movie
for daring to have relations with
black man.
white Miss Catherine.
Oh.
So their plan is to hang him, but he is, I don't know if he's escaping or if he's just out on his boat.
I think he's just out on his boat.
He was probably rowing his boat back into town or away from
town.
Or he goes and gets the onions and stuff.
Yeah, because he has to row out there.
Because if that river or if that lake is full, that's where he plants his onions and his good soil over there.
Right.
You know?
Yes. So he goes. The townspeople, they find him in the boat. They boat out to him and they pop a cap right in Sam's face. It's terribly sad.
It literally took this movie from like the.
Yeah.
I was not expecting.
Well, and I think as a kid, when you're watching something like that, or at least me, I remember being like, this movie is crazy. Like, this is intense. Because that's, like, pretty intense for a kid to watch.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Like, the movie starts off, and it's like, okay, it's about this kid, and he goes to prison or whatever. He's digging holes, la-di-da-di-da. He's making friends.
Take the pig up the mountain, blah, blah, blah.
But then they throw in this scene with Catherine and Sam, and it completely racializes the entire movie. Right, so now you know that the town people in this town back in the 1800s or however long ago this was were like superly racially charged. They killed Sam because he's black, and and it's just a whole mess. So that kind of changes.
Can we pause right here too, because that was one of the things that I think it might have been the sheriff said that really like struck me. He said it's not because Catherine said, I kissed him. He didn't kiss me. Or no, I was the one who
kissed him back.
You know, I kissed him back, and he said, well, it's not a crime for you to kiss him, but it's a crime for him to kiss you.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Right?
Hey.
Like,
well, and then you know what?
It really shows the entirety of the injustice all the way around.
Yes.
Well, and then it makes me really like Kate in these next scenes, which I know you were like, I don't like Westerns. It gets very Westernish. But she basically gets all dolled up, right, in this like red Titanic. Whoa.
I only said everyone. I don't know.
Dude,
do not disturb.
It's still gonna come in.
Okay, all right.
It's not
oh, it buzzed and fell off.
That's is that what happened?
Yeah. Keep talking.
Okay, that's
okay. Anyway, so she goes to the sheriff the next day and is like, "Do you still want that kiss, right?" Because he was like, "Give me a kiss, baby, give me a kiss," and he was like, "Okay, yeah." But she pops him in the face and gives him a kiss on the forehead.
Yeah. So
I did it.
Arlo.
So she has taken up arms.
Prisoners too. Like, let me just.
Yeah.
See, now our listeners get to see our physicalness. Right in the face.
So yeah, Kate, after realizing that Sam has died, she gets crazy angry, crazy vengeful, goes full Batman on everybody in this place.
All those dudes that were like burning her schoolhouse down.
She's like,
they all done ski, and you know what? She taking their money. She don't care.
Every racist in the West is about to get it. Pow, 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 pow. And so she goes out and she goes on basically a full rampage. She murders people, steals their money, and lays a kiss on their cheek or their forehead with her
vigilante.
With her lipstick, and that is her trademark. She's kissing Kate Barlow.
She is the Arrow.
Yeah.
I know. I will say though that she's cooler than Batman because Batman doesn't actually shoot anybody.
Right. She's more Punisher-y than Batman.
Yeah, more Punisher.
Oh,
More kissy than Batman too. Can you imagine if Batman was laying a kiss off all the dudes that he punched in the face?
Just little yellow bats on everybody.
Crazy.
That's what you get for killing my parents. Okay. So yeah. So so from.
My kiss.
So as this is happening, Stanley he's kind of starting to feel guilty because they're just digging all of these holes but not finding anything, right? And like he like kind of wants to tell the warden what's happening, but he doesn't fully. So they're out one day, and him and Zero have this deal now where he's going to help him dig the holes quicker so that he can learn to read. And the other guys in Camp D do not like that. Like, they don't like that they have this partnership going on. They think everybody should dig their own hole.
I think it's unfair.
And they kind of set Stanley up, right? So I don't remember who it is, but he's one of the, I think it's the lanky dude. Squid. No, I think it's Squid. I think he steals the sunflower seeds out of Mr. Sir's car. Mm-hmm. And they start eating them, but Mr. Sir comes back, right? Because he's pissed and he knows the sunflower seeds are gone because he's trying to quit smoking. Mm-hmm. And they throw them in Stanley's hole. So it kind of sets him up, and this next scene is where you really see that, like, the warden is crazy.
Yeah, so I
remember this vividly as a kid. Like, why is she painting her nails with venom? Like.
Oh, right. Yeah. Ugh, so Mr. Sir calls the warden. He takes Stanley, who he thinks has stolen his sunflower seeds, takes him to the warden's office. The warden is living it up in her office. Yeah. She's got air conditioning in there. She's got Coca-Cola. She's got drinks, stuff that nobody else at the camp has.
And she's also, like, excited because she thinks that Stanley's found something.
She thinks that they have found something. Mr. Sir then informs the warden that this kid stole my sunflower seeds. And she's like, what? You brought somebody who's just misbehaving? You can't handle some misbehaving kids? She slices his face.
Well, no, she says, Stanley, go get my nail polish.
Right.
And he's like, okay. And then she's like, oh, I just love this color. Then my secret ingredient?
She explains about the yellow-spotted lizards.
And it's like rattlesnake venom.
Right.
And then she freaking strikes him. And I just remember this as a kid being like, well, what would that actually do for your face if there was venom in it? Like, do you think it would really mess up your face?
I mean, it depends on how old the venom is, but yeah. She says that, like, this venom will mess you up unless it's dry. So I use it as fingernail polish or whatever. But when she slices Mr. Sir's face, she does it with freshly painted nails. So in the next scene that you see Mr. Sir, he's got a big old balloon on the side of his face, and some kid tries to make fun of him, and he lays into him or whatever.
He pops a cap. No, I'm just
kidding. Yeah, so this is where we learn a little bit about her backstory. So she is the granddaughter of that guy who owned the town. Goldtooth guy. Who,
Frankie.
Yes, who wanted to be with Kissing Kate Barlow, right?
Yeah.
So,
she's been digging holes.
Since her entire life because her grandfather's been making her because they're trying to find the treasure that she buried.
That she stole from Stanley Yelnats the First.
Yes, they're just trying to find any loot, basically. Because
they know that she's been ransacking the West.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's
burying stuff.
Ransacking. And then we see this next scene where she kind of finds the river. Well, the lake has dried up completely, right?
Yes.
Then they say, like, since the day Sam died, it has not rained at all.
Correct.
And, like, it's been dried up, right? So that she kind of finds Sam's old boat and is like, buy it. And him and his wife whatever, like find her, and they're like, where's the money, and she's like, you'll never know.
You'll
and
dig for 1,000 generations
yeah,
and never
and
find.
she takes the lizard and makes it bite her and then just dies.
Dies.
See what I mean? Like, I feel like talking about it now, if I would like, if like a 10-year-old, well, maybe not now because 10-year-old kids watch things that are way more intense, but like as a 10-year-old kid, I was like, what the what
is happening? What? Yeah. So back in the present, they stop digging in that giant hole looking for whatever.
Yeah, she says everybody go back to your normal holes.
Looking for bullets and stuff like that. The other kids get fed up with Stanley and Zero.
They get into a fight.
And they begin to fight. And Mr. Podansky shows up, and he's like, you kids got to stop fighting. Except for you, Zero, you dummy. You're so dumb, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, my God, it's the worst.
Dumb, diddly, dumb. And Zero loses it. He finally realizes that, I think Mr. Podansky said, I bet you can't even spell cat. C-A-T.
Oh, yeah, because
cat,
they're telling Stanley he's not allowed to teach Zero how to read.
Right.
Ugh, awful.
So Mr. Podansky goes one step too far in making fun of Zero, and Zero clocks him with a shovel in the best scene in the whole movie. It's awesome. He's like, ka-ting! And
he just runs.
It spells cat! And then he runs away. So he runs off into the mountains. And from here, you can see how evil the warden, Mr. Sir, and Dr. Podansky all are. They're like...
Dude, I thought they were bad before this, and right now, I was like, now as an adult, I'm like...
Yeah.
This is atrocious.
What did she say? She's like, let him go. We'll call the search warrant in 2 weeks. And they're like, that won't be a body to find. And she's like, exactly.
Right.
Like, oh, my God.
It's like, he won't last out there for more than 3 days. Like, okay, cool. So we'll call him in like 2 weeks' time or something like that. Then we'll try to find him. So they fully expect this 12, 13-year-old kid to go out in the desert and die by himself because he smacked up one of the counselors or whatever.
They literally don't care, though.
They don't care. But
on top of this, they are going to destroy his files.
Yes,
they're going to get rid of all evidence of him.
Basically going to ghost him because he's homeless, so they're like, he has no family.
Nobody
it's fine,
cares about
right?
him.
Except for Stanley.
Stanley does care. So Stanley takes it upon himself to try and rescue Zero, but he's not exactly sure how to do it. Does he sneak out in the middle of the night?
Yeah, he uses Twitch, the dude that knows how to steal cars.
Right, a new kid comes in because Zero has gone, so a spot has opened up. So a new kid shows up immediately. His name is Twitch. He definitely has some form of ADD, and he loves cars. He's like, they go vroom, vroom, yeah. And so...
He reminds me of Minkus from Boy Meets World, but with, like, the Twitch added.
That's funny. I wonder if that's that same kid, but probably not. So Twitch helps Stanley steal the water truck while they're getting their canteens filled. They distract Mr. Sir and his nasty cut-up face, and Stanley gets in the truck and drives it away, hoping to go out into the desert and find Zero. However, roughly 15 seconds later, Stanley crashes the truck into a hole.
So funny.
Turns out there's a lot of holes out there. I don't know how Mr. Sir gets around without falling in a hole, but I guess he's a good driver and not a 15-year-old or whatever. So Stanley hits this hole, hops out of the truck, and runs out into the desert with an empty canteen. He doesn't have anything. And so he's out there, he's wandering, and then eventually he comes upon an overturned boat and finds...
Sam's boat.
Which is Sam's boat. Mm-hmm. And he finds Zero under it.
With Sploosh.
Zero has been surviving on Sploosh, which is the peaches that Miss Catherine was given to Sam way back in the day. These are
disgusting.
Real preserves. They've been preserved for 70 years or something like that. It's a long time these peaches have been sitting in a jar, but it tastes good apparently. Yummy, yummy, yummy.
Yeah, it tastes
but
good.
it is also about to get them on another kind of trip. You know what I'm saying?
So they Stanley and Zero team up and they decide that they're gonna go find refuge at God's thumb, just like Stanley's great-grandfather.
And this is the part where it's like a stretch to me. Like, I think at this point, Emily was like, oh, like things started coming together for her. But you're telling me that these two kids climbed up a freaking mountain?
Oh, they get to this mountain.
Here's my problem, okay? I realize that I'm going to put together the story before the story came together, but this It's supposed to be like their final journey, right? Up this mountain. And Zero gets hurt during the journey, and Stanley has to help him up, pretty much carry him by the end to the top. And you realize while he's carrying him, oh my gosh, his name is Zero. And then you get flashbacks of Madame Zeroni.
Yes.
And his name is Hector
Zeroni.
Right? So you're like, oh my gosh, he's carrying Madame Zeroni's
ancestor
up this mountain.
Yes.
But here's the deal.
And then he drinks from the water, and Stanley sings a song.
But here's the deal.
Oh.
That mountain was in another country.
Well, yeah, basically.
No, it was because her grandson and his grandfather, right? Stanley's grandfather and Madame Zeroni's grandson, who had gone to America, went to America.
Right.
Well,
they got that.
It's like a different magical mountain because it has magical onions.
Well, I was gonna say that it's all in the way the curse or the spell was laid out. Madame Zeroni says, you take Madame Zeroni up the mountain, let Madame Zeroni drink from the water, and then you're whatever, you'll live fruitfully or what have you. And if you don't, then your family will be cursed. But she doesn't say, take me up to Mount Kilimanjaro and only Mount Kilimanjaro. She says up the mountain. So I guess if a Yelnats takes a Zeroni up a mountain and drinks from some water and sings the song, that completes the magic of the spell.
Okay.
Emily does not look pleased with my answer.
How many magical mountains are there?
At least 2.
Well, I mean, this has to be a magical... He had to know this was some kind of magical universe, because why the heck did it stop raining when Sam died?
Right. That was another...
But then as soon as he took him up the mountain, it started raining?
That's like another curse placed on this place rather than on a Yelnats family. There's a lot of curses and stuff going on in this movie. But yeah, so the...
Puzzle on steroids.
So the kids make it to the mountain. They're free climbing it while holding a shovel and an empty water canteen. They're just going up there, yeah, and it's tall. Like, I don't know how they're doing this, but they're doing it. They get to almost the tippy top. Zero gets hurt, and then they find a water patch, which also happens to have the sweet onions that Sam used to sell back in the day. They start munching on them onions like they're apples, and actually in production they were apples covered in some kind of edible onion cover or something like that. Yeah.
Edible onion cover.
That's what it said on IMDb. And they
Luis is falling asleep.
They survive. Lou, what'd you think of this part?
Hello.
I'm thinking about this part. To let you know what I thought about this part. The mountain didn't really look that big when they were right at the at the base of it. But then all of a sudden, when they're like about to reach the the very top, it looks like it's thousands of feet up in the air.
Yeah.
So that I didn't like. Okay. I'm kind of there with you too with the whole, why the heck is this mountain magical? And how is it that has like fresh vegetation and water at the top of this mountain, but yet it's not.
That's where the clouds stay.
Right. They did mention at one point they saw some rain clouds in the distance, and they were like,
they never go past
guys,
the mountains.
the rain never comes past the mountains. It hasn't rained in this place.
Right. And they're always wishing for rain, but
yes.
That's part of the curse, I guess.
Oh, that makes sense. Like maybe that's why the mountains never go past it hasn't rained, because the rain always tends to stop at that mountain.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why the lake dried up.
That actually does happen in real life too. But anyways, what's crazier to me is that when they're up there, they're like, we need to go back. And then they climb down the mountain? You climbed up and down that mountain one day?
Yeah, apparently.
They had onion strength, dude. They got down, Easier to get down and get up.
I need some of these onions during this quarantine, I'm just saying.
Right. Oh, also, we should mention that before they got to the mountain, before they were digging holes, before Zero ran away, they had mentioned that onions, those particular onions, help keep the yellow spotted lizards away. I think they had said that in one of the flashbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
See, there's so many loopholes.
There's a lot of details to be missed. So yeah, Sam and Zero and Stanley make their way down the mountain, run all the way back to camp, and
they start digging. They want to find the box.
They start digging where they found that first bullet.
And they find it.
And they find something. They find a big old chest, and they pull the chest out. And does it happen right here? Yeah, they pull the chest out.
And all the lizards come out.
And it's the chest that Cousin Kate Barlow had hid. Yes, all the lizards come out, and they crowd around and climb all on top of the chest and Stanley and Zero.
But they won't bite them because they have the onions, right?
Correct. Yes, that's why they don't bite them. So at some point, Mr. Sir and the warden and Dr. Bodansky, they all show up, see that they're holding that, and start trying to get the chest from them. But they're in a pretty big stalemate because they're covered with deadly lizards.
Well, and here's an interesting piece too. While they were gone, right? Stanley and Zero were gone. Stanley's family lawyer had come to the camp and been like, "You need to relinquish Stanley to us because he is no longer a part of this." Did they say like why he was able to go home?
They just said that he wasn't guilty anymore.
He had gotten exonerated somehow. But also, while Stanley and Zero were up on the mountain, Zero confesses that, hey, I'm actually the one that stole those shoes. I was in an orphanage. The shoes were there at the orphanage on display, not donated to the orphanage, I guess. But Zero was just under the assumption that they were for any orphans who wanted to take them. He took them. He put them on the too big. He's running away. The cops are chasing them. He threw them over the bridge, and they landed on Stanley's head.
But he said he still got arrested for stealing a pair of shoes from a Payless the next week.
Right, because he was shoeless at that point, so he had to go into a Payless and cop some shoes. Yeah. So they both got arrested, and both were apparently sent there at almost exactly the same time, which is interesting. So Stanley is technically exonerated from stealing the shoes of Sweet Feet, Rick Fox. So the lawyer shows up. She's there. She's like, you got to get these kids back to us because they don't necessarily belong here. And also, there's some shady stuff going on with this entire camp. So I think the lawyer calls the police and has them come down, or the local sheriff or somebody.
They come back. They leave and then come back. And when they come back is when they find everyone like in this hole. Yes. Well, not everyone. The kids in the hole, and everyone's sitting around them.
Yes.
And they're like, how long have they been in that hole? And obviously, it's been at least
hours.
A couple of hours.
Well, like maybe 12, 15.
Like overnight.
Right. Yeah. Definitely at least overnight. So the warden sees that they have the chest, and she's like, oh my God, that's what I've been looking for this entire time. Give me my baby. I want that chest. Give it to me now. And she starts playing it sweet to the lawyer, like, oh, they've got my chest. They found my chest.
It literally says Stanley Yelnats on it.
They pull it out, and it says Stanley Yelnats on it. It's like, how could it be yours when it's got my homie's name on it right here? Get out my face, warden lady. So it all starts kind of crumbling down around the warden's ears because they take the chest, they take Stanley, and they take Zero. And then they start realizing that Mr. Sir and Dr. Bodansky are both criminals who are wanted. Everybody getting arrested. All the kids are free. The rain starts coming down.
She's arrested too because of all of the missing records.
Right. Yeah. And
yeah, they can't even find the records. Well, that's because they destroyed those records.
Yeah, they destroyed all the records for the kids. So now you have like fraudulent stuff going on in this camp. So she got arrested.
Plus the treatment of, I don't know if you're allowed to just, you're right. I don't know if you're allowed to just send children out to dig holes.
I really don't think you can just have
for 12 hours a day.
Probably maltreatment.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit of a human rights violation. Just a tiny bit. So yeah, that's basically it. They get back to Stanley's house. They show Dad and Grandpa that they found the chest. They all open it together, and it has just millions of dollars worth of gold and jewels and deeds and what are those other bank things? You know what I'm talking about.
Old Western deeds.
Yeah, old Western deeds.
There were like shares for AT&T that were $25,000 back then.
Yeah.
Back then.
So they're rich now. Everybody's rich. And Stanley says like, hey, since this is a Yell Nats and Zeroni joint. Zero over here gets half of whatever's in the chest, and the Yell Nats agree
They're
to
like,
that.
fine,
Like, okay,
we got so much anyway.
whatever, man.
Yeah. Just nice. He finds his mom and stuff.
And in that exact moment, too, while Stanley's still over there, right, the curse is over, at his house, his dad has been tirelessly trying to find, like, the stinkless serum, and he finally makes it. Finally breaks it.
He breaks it. As soon as the curse is broken, once Stanley takes Zero up the mountain, the Stanley the Elnats, the third or second or whatever, he figures out that, if I put peaches and onions in a shoe, boom, cure.
Peaches and onions!
It's a cure.
Wow.
So the epilogue basically is everybody's rich, everybody's living in a mansion. They have created and marketed this new cure for smelly feet called Sploosh, and
with Sweet Feet.
With Sweet Feet, he's the sponsor, he's the front runner, and everybody lives happily ever after. And Zero finds his mom. He hired a team of private investigators and whatnot to find her. Apparently, she's been looking for him too. It's very sweet. It's very nice, and it's a satisfying ending, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kid movie ending.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good kid movie ending. I think the strength of this movie is in its setups and its reveals. Like Act 1 and Act 2 are a little slow. It's just like, all right, he's digging holes, they're finding a thing or two every once in a while, and then Act 3 is like, boom, Sam's dead. Boom, Kiss of Kate Barlow. Boom, the Yell Nats treasure. Boom, 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 onions.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I just see Luis's thumbs going to town on a Pokemon battle.
I'm over here trying to be like in the conversation, and I just see this.
Tap.
Gyarados versus
okay,
Another
so
Pass
how much
over here.
Make?
This film did end up making money. It was pretty critically acclaimed. People liked it. It had a $20 million budget and ended up with a $70 million box office. It was number 2 in its first weekend, right behind Anger Management, which was that Adam Sandler film from 2003.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, with Jack Nicholson. That movie was
I don't
funny.
think I ever saw that.
Yeah.
It was okay.
He's not a good comedian.
Yes. This movie has a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, and an audience score of 76%. So pretty even
Pretty
keel.
equal across those.
across the board.
So I have a really interesting factoid I read that I'm actually, and you're going to laugh when I read this and say that this would be really good because you're going to say, Emily, you wouldn't like that. You ready? It says that the screenplay was originally written by Richard Kelly, who greatly departed from the source material by writing a dark, violent adaptation of the story set in a post-apocalyptic world.
What?
What?
The studio reportedly found the script far too disturbing for a children's movie, rejecting it in favor of the final script that was written by the novel's author.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, why did you like that? Apocalypse holes.
I feel like that might be kind of good. I don't know. But interesting though, right?
Yeah, that's fascinating. You got any more facts?
I have lots of facts, but how good are the facts? I don't know. The guy who played Zeroni, the Zero, right?
Yeah.
The kid, he apparently was like super afraid when he went to go try out because they like auditioned for the role because Taj Mowry, Bow Wow, and who was the other one? I can't remember the other one, but
Bow Wow.
Was it Little Romeo?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Wow, that's
all of these like famous.
Yeah, all the hot young black actors from the early 2000s were all in the same room.
Right, they were all in there, and they were all acting their hearts out, like trying to play Zero, and then apparently everyone was getting like 4 or 5 scenes to record, and he only got 2, so he was like super nervous because, you know, he didn't feel like he got as much screen time as everybody else, and he thought like, well, it's just because I'm not famous yet, or whatever. But then he did the mountain scene with Shia because Shia had already been cast. And the one when they're at the top of the mountain and everything, and he's, revealing his past. And then they were like, all right, you, come on, moving on, we're doing this. So it was cool because he got to do his emotional scene, and that's what won him the part, which was really cool.
Show me the picture of him right now, babe. Can you
make
that bigger?
His name is Cleo Thomas. That is this gentleman's
he looks
name.
the same.
He looks exactly the same, right?
Right, yeah.
And apparently, I think they said that he celebrated his bar mitzvah during this movie filming.
Oh, good for you, Cleo.
I thought
Become
it was
a
interesting.
man. A young black Jewish man.
Don't you like that?
Good for you.
All right.
Good for you.
Good for you, Cleo. Yeah, he was great in the movie. I respect their decision to not put Bow Wow in this.
Well, and apparently he didn't realize that the part that he was going to play was going to become a most beloved character. He thought it was just like an ancillary character. And so he was really kind of astonished, like, as time went on, that he was like, oh, Zero really is the emotional fan favorite in this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
You would think it would be Stanley, but it's really not. He's just kind of like,
Stanley's there.
he's just kind of moving the story along.
Yeah.
All I know is I vividly remember the Dig It song.
Digging up holes, digging it.
And it was just all the by the D10 boys.
Yeah, so
And they did write it.
that song, if you remember it, that plays over the credits, is sung by the cast of.
I
of
don't
the
need
movie.
to hear Shia Lebouf rapping. Oh my gosh, sorry guys.
There is some Shia raps happening in the song. I encourage you to YouTube it and be as disappointed as we were when we heard it. But other than that, overall, this is a good movie. I was into
Okay,
it.
well then I'll let you rate it first.
Oh, calculating.
Oh, he always does that.
That's my brain calculator going. I'm gonna give this movie an 8. I liked it. It had its funny moments. It had its good moments, and once again, the ending reveals really put it over the top for me.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. It is a C+. It was probably a B as a kid, and now it's a C+ as an adult. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Luis.
I would give it about an 8 as well. I like at the end, I like that whole thing where it's like they have multiple stories going on and then they all kind of diverge. That was pretty fun. Shia Lebouf was in what? I don't know if I would have watched this back when I was younger, I would think that Shia LaBeouf is not as how should I say, annoying in this movie as he was in the other ones. Yeah. Pretty much it.
Welcome back.
Had some technical internet
Some
difficulties.
technical difficulties, you know.
Okay,
It's the,
Emily, what's your rating?
2,
Whoa!
2, 4, 6. How many?
I'm just kidding. I'll give it a 7. It was
Good.
solid.
Okay.
I honestly think that if had I watched this as a kid, I would have been like, so good.
Yeah, that's how I felt about it.
Yeah, I would have definitely loved this as a kid. But like as an adult, I don't foresee myself really going back and watching it again often. Maybe like in a couple years or something. But it was pretty good. It had good musical choices, and it had a really interesting story. It just am not huge on the actors, but it's just a kid Disney movie from the 2000s.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
It's
necessarily
better than other 2000s movies if you want to get technical, so maybe it should get a half a point for that, just because it's better than other ones that came out during that time period.
Bird. Yeah. Get out of here. What's that cow movie?
Home on the Range?
Home on the Range.
Chicken Little?
Oh, I was talking about Home on the Range.
Oh, Home on the
Chicken Little.
Okay, so, listeners, we have some good news
Yes.
about being quarantined.
While you're stuck in your house, we are going to up our game just a tad and hit you with some brand new content
2 new content.
for the next couple of weeks. So this episode is dropping on a Monday, and
Two
then
contents.
Two content.
and then next week we will be doing Frozen 2. Coming dropping to you next Monday, and then the Monday after that we will be dropping an Onward episode, since all of those are on Disney
Which will be the
Plus.
first time that we've done like a new movie.
Yeah, like a
Because
brand new
technically
movie.
it should still be in theaters right now.
Right, but
Which is actually really cool because one of our listeners, Big Jose, had asked that we
shout out to Big Jose.
do Onward Onward. So it's really cool that we're able to do that because usually we don't do movies that are still in theaters, but obviously we can now because they're giving us the option to do a movie that's currently streaming.
Andre and I did see Onward in the theater.
We did.
Like the week before this quarantine
Us
happened.
and 7 other people in the theater saw Onward right as they were telling us not to go anywhere.
So it'll be interesting watching it again, like really recently, you know? But I'm way excited about Frozen 2 because I've only just seen it in the theater. I'm ready to watch it again.
Do you want to know what's really cool?
Huh?
What's cool?
I bought the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then 2 days later, they announced that it was going to be streaming.
Yay!
Woo!
But this is the first time ever that I've seen a movie more than you because I'm pretty sure we've seen it. I personally have seen it. I watched it once at one of our listeners' houses with our toddler, so I didn't really watch it. But I liked it enough to come home and buy it so that someone over here could watch it. We watched it again, and I'm pretty sure we just watched it again today. We have a sick kid, so we had to watch it again.
Yeah.
So I might watch it again to be ready for this podcast. Maybe not.
Well, I'm excited because I loved it when I saw it in the theater, so I'm ready to watch it again. Andre needs to rewatch it because he fell asleep.
I'm super excited because I fell asleep at both Frozen 2 and Onward, so now I get to see the full movie.
He's not allowed to go to theaters anymore. He's an old man.
What? Excuse you? I go to theater whenever I want, as long as they're
open.
open.
You go to the theater to fall asleep? That's a waste of money, brother.
Exactly. That's why he's not allowed to go no more.
Well, he's not allowed to go anymore because we quarantined.
Right.
That too.
That's the main reason.
That's fine. Thanks, Disney. You're gonna make some history here, I guess.
So yes, the Walt Vault is here in your quarantine times. As long as we're quarantined, we'll be doing videos like this. So get ready to see our faces for the next couple of weeks.
Maybe I'll get ready next time.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
I don't know. We might be able to provide you guys with some mics. They might sound a little better. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that's been it for now. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Desperate times, y'all.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. If you want to be desperate with us, head to @TheWaltVaultPod on Instagram, Twitter,
the human
Facebook.
world is a myth.
Go there. Follow us. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought of Holes. If you're looking forward to Frozen 2 and or Onward, let us know. You can also send an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. Tell us how much you like Dougie.
Why did we both do that at the same time?
That was great.
There he goes again, guys. Look, sticking his head through the little window.
And if you want to extra support us, you can head on over to patreon.com/thewaltvault, where we upload some extra content every once in a while for a small fee. That's been it for now, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week for some Frozen 2 goodness. The vault is now closed.
Peace out.